everybody, welcome back to another edition of 30 Teams in 30 Days here on Inside the Zone with Mateo. So glad you decided to click on this video. And of course, as always, I hope you're entertained. For those who do not know, my name is Mateo. I host all the podcasts here on the channel as well as I write blogs on my website. The link is in the description of my YouTube channel, but also the description of this YouTube video. But enough about me. Let me explain to you what you clicked on. 30 teams in 30 days, if you couldn't tell by the intro already, is our NBA offseason preview where, we normally just do episodes twice a week. But in June, I'm posting every single day in the month of June because there's 30 teams in the NBA. There are 30 days in June. So one team gets one day throughout the month of June. And, basically the goal here is taking a deep dive into each NBA team during the month of June. So that's what we're going to do here. We're on day 9. As you can see here on the screen in front of you, this is kind of like the schedule, if you will. We go from worst record to best record from this last 2025-2026 regular season. The standings, right? So we went through the Wizards first. We're ending with the Thunder. We're right at day 9 here. It's the Chicago Bulls here on June 9th, 2026. Appreciate you guys for clicking on this video. We just did a Pelicans video yesterday. That was a fun one. But now, officially, here, guess what? Guess what, guys? We are officially moving to the 30-plus win teams. Isn't that fun? Bro, the last 8 days have been great. But all of those teams had won under 26 games. But now starting with the Chicago Bulls, where they have won, I believe, 31 games. I believe the graphic's wrong. I don't know why it says 30 wins. It's 31. They're 31 and 51. I think that just deserves a round of applause. If you've been here the first 8 days, you've suffered through the painful tanking or so teams. Obviously, we'll get to a couple others in the coming days. But most of the tanking teams are done. I think that just, deserves a round of applause. But anyway, let's get into it, boys. For those who don't know, this is Mateo's Show batting order. I don't know why it didn't go. Well, now it went. Did it go? I don't know. Yeah, there we go. Mateo's Show batting order. We use it on all the channels. Any video you see on this wonderful channel, you're going to most likely see Mateo's Show batting order. Just kind of gives you a quick little roadmap of where we're going. And the same 5 things are on the batting order for every single episode here in 30 teams in 30 days. How well did they do last season? Who I think they should draft, who I think they should keep from their restricted and unrestricted free agents, who they should target either by the open market or by a trade. And finally, we end the video with, if they do these things that I suggested, or some of them, or maybe if they keep their team relatively the same, what is their ceiling? And I kind of give you that, obviously their floor being one of the worst teams in the league. So without further ado, Chicago Bulls fans, if you've been waiting, your time has come. It's time for the Chicago Bulls, episode 9, day 9 of 30 teams in 30 days. Let's get underway, starting off with a recap of the 2025-2026 season. In case you don't really know much about the Bulls, well, here, this should probably take care of it for you. Again, they were 31 and 51. They were the 12th seed in the Eastern Conference. And, this is going to make it pretty easy. Josh Giddey was their top scorer, top assister, and top rebounder. We'll expand into the box score in a second. Obviously, they have the 4th overall pick. I believe they also have the 15th overall pick, if I'm not mistaken, in this year's upcoming draft. Yes, they do via the Portland Trailblazers. So their own pick ended up at 4, and then that Portland pick that they had ended up at 15. So we'll have a lot to talk about in the mock draft simulator because we will do that in a little bit. But in the meantime, let's take a little bit deeper a deeper look into the Chicago Bulls stats from a year or last season. We take a look at teams, at these teams' players and just what they were doing. Obviously, there are a couple players on this team that are going to be listed but aren't actually on this team anymore. Guys like Ayo Dosunmu, who got traded, and then some guys who had a smaller sample size, like Rob Dillingham, who was in that trade from Ayo Dosunmu, obviously. So it's nothing perfect, but I mostly try to look at, just give you a quick overview of the key pieces of this squad, just so you have an idea of where this team is going or kind of what it looks like. Coby White is another one of those guys that got traded, so we're going to ignore him, but he was averaging 19 points in 29 games, but ignore that. Colin Sexton, actually, he was traded as well. Last year we saw the Chicago Bulls kind of just really sell almost all of their pieces, maybe expiring contracts. They got, I think, 9 second-round picks on the trade deadline. Is absolutely insane. They're just throwing around second-round picks, getting second-round picks for players. So we moved down, and now that's why Josh Giddey averaging 17 points, 8.3 rebounds, and 9.1 assists, almost averaged a triple-double in, I believe, 54 games. He did deal with some injuries last season, but it seems like it seems pretty obvious that this is now Josh Giddey's team for the time being. Obviously, there's been some trade rumors. We'll get into that later in the show. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Josh Giddey steps up. No Kobe White, no Colin Sexton, no, Vucevic even got traded. No Anthony Simons, who, well, actually, no, sorry. They traded for Anthony Simons, but he played, 6 games. It's just going to, no Ayo Dosunmu. Like, this team looks slightly different. It's very young. The Bulls have definitely shifted into, okay, we're going to just embrace the young status here. They trade away almost all of their veterans at the trade deadline. Obviously going to probably add more young talent, hopefully, in the upcoming draft with 2 top 15 picks. But Modest Buzelis, obviously, probably my favorite player over there, not just because his name sounds like Mateo to some extent, but he's a really fun player to watch, very young here. In 77 games, he averaged 16.3 points, 5.8 rebounds, and I believe 2.1 assists, if I'm looking at the right stat line. Yes, I am. Again, we don't really need to talk about Anthony Simons, who really played 6 games after being traded from the Celtics. Dosunmu got traded to my Minnesota Timberwolves, so we can ignore that. Then Tre Jones, I thought, really did step up. He started 41 games. He came off the bench in the remaining, 24 or something like that. In that time, though, he averaged 14.1 points, 3.1 assists, and 5.4 rebounds. Sorry, that's flipped. 3.1 rebounds and 5.4 assists per game in about 65 games for the Chicago Bulls. Leonard Miller was also part of that Ayo Dosunmu trade for my Minnesota Timberwolves. He really got a shot. In 27 games, he actually started 12 of them because of the injuries. He averaged 11.7 points. My goodness. 5.8 rebounds and 1.3 assists. So, the Timberwolves are one of the deepest teams in the NBA. He just wasn't getting a shot here, and I'm glad. I really do like him. I liked him when he was here in Minnesota, and I like to see him, hopefully develop into a decent player. Obviously, Rob Dillingham has been a disappointment for the Timberwolves, but he's now going to try to start over in Chicago or wherever he ends up. In 30 games off the bench with the Bulls, he averaged 9.6 points. My goodness, 3.0, so 3 exactly rebounds and 2.8 assists. I believe he was, averaging like 20 minutes or something when he was a part of the Bulls at the latter half of the season. And then the big story here, Patrick Williams. We'll get into him a little bit later, but he only averaged 7 points. 7 points a game in 72 games, mostly off the bench. He did start like 6 games or something. I believe he had 3. Yeah, he was averaging 3 rebounds and 1.5 assists as well. So not big stats wise, but I do think y'all should expect a bigger role, if not a trade, for Patrick Williams. I think if he's on the Bulls, he's going to be, very important for the Bulls. Obviously, as the backup for Modest Buzelis, I think without Modest, Patrick Williams would be starting, and I think you'd be okay with that. I was kind of interested in Patrick Williams at the trade deadline for the Minnesota Timberwolves personally. I was thinking, could we get Patrick Williams and Ayo Dosunmu and maybe trade away somebody else? I'm a big fan of Patrick Williams, and I hope he gets some more chances here. But obviously, with Modest Buzelis, in Chicago, and you're trying to develop him to be a star in this league, which I think he will be, it's a little unfortunate for Patrick Williams, but it is what it is. This is a look at the Chicago Bulls depth chart. One thing here, Josh Giddey is a shooting guard, but because they traded Kobe White away, they didn't really have a point guard. Maybe that came into factor. Maybe they were saying, oh, maybe Rob Dillingham could be that point guard. It's unfortunate. The Rob Dillingham experiment has been interesting. And I'm not gonna blame anybody. I'm not gonna blame him. He was great in college. I just don't know what's been going on. I really hope he turns it around. But other than that, I forgot they did get Colin Sexton. My bad, guys. I didn't give him his moment. Colin Sexton averaged 17.5. Yeah, that's right. What am I doing? He averaged 17.5 points in 26 games with 2.9 rebounds and 2.5 assists. I'm sorry. I don't know. They made so many trades. I forgot who they traded for and who they got. Because I just remember I think they did get 9 second-round picks at the deadline. That was insane. But anyway, Josh Giddey's a two guard. So I'm just going to throw this out here. A point guard is not out of question for them either trading up to try to go get maybe Darren Peterson, but also to maybe trading for maybe not a superstar point guard, but at least a star or average point guard. So then Josh Giddey can be that shooting guard. I think that's a big hole right now. Obviously, the rebounding is a bit interesting. I think they just need to kind of fit the right pieces. They have a strong base. I really like their base here with their youth. Josh Giddey. I'm not a huge Josh Giddey fan, but I do respect what he's been doing. Trey Jones, Isaac Okoro, Modest Buzelis, Jalen Smith, Patrick Williams, I love. Leonard Miller, Anthony Simons. I mean, they have Colin Sexton. Throw Rob Dillingham in there if you want. They have a really young, intriguing group. And so I'm really excited to see where they're going to be. And obviously, it's just going to be a fun team to break down as we continue to go here. But I got to stop yapping here. I try to keep these, like originally going into this series, y'all guys, I'm just going to be honest with you for a second. I was trying to get like 20, 25-minute episodes because my normal episodes are like 40 minutes. I'm like, bro, I'm going to try to do it. And every single time I try to do it, I try to speed things up. I try to stop yapping. It ends up always being 40 minutes. So I apologize. Let's just keep on rolling here. Let's get back to the PowerPoint. Again, I don't know why when I share the PowerPoint, it goes all weird like that. I apologize. I don't know. We ought to maybe upgrade the setup at some point. We'll look to that maybe. But anyway, yeah, the draft pick, 4th overall. Right now, a lot of people have been speculating they're probably going to take Caleb Wilson with that pick if they keep that pick. They also have the 15th overall pick, so that's going to be interesting. So now let's just go to the draft. Let's stop talking about their draft picks. Let's go to the mock draft. Here in this section, we actually didn't do it with the Pelicans because I believe the Pelicans don't have a first-round pick. We preview the specific team's upcoming draft, addressing their biggest need, which we kind of did already, and simulating a mock draft to see who is on the board. So again, we can look at the depth chart. Y'all know how much I love these depth charts. If there's a way to go get Darren Peterson, maybe do that. But other than that, like people have been saying, Caleb Wilson. Well, here's the thing. I'm a fan of Caleb Wilson. I don't think he's going to be starting, so that might be a good way. But then here's the thing. Patrick Williams is his security, his job security, I think would tank a little bit with that pick because look at how many young bigs they have. If you draft a forward like Cam Booger, if you somehow get him, or Caleb Wilson, you're leaving. You're giving the coaches a very hard decision, which is obviously a good thing. But here's your forwards. Here's your forwards. Isaac Okoro, he's going to be starting probably at the 3. Modest Buzelis at the 4. And then off the bench, you have Noah Songe, their draft pick from I think it was last year, Leonard Miller, Patrick Williams. If you add another one, you're going to have 6 guys competing for really 4 spots. And if not, those 2 people maybe not getting the opportunity, I would make a case they should be traded. They should be dealt elsewhere so that they do get the chance that they deserve. None of these guys deserve to be bench warmers, if you know what I mean. So it's going to be interesting. I would say go center or guard in the draft. Obviously, that's not been what the mock drafts have been doing. We're going to do 2 mock drafts here. We're going to do one where we don't do trades. Like here, it's always this. It's always this. It's always between these 3 guys. Caleb Wilson, 65% of the time, people are picking him. 9% of the time, Keaton Wagner. Like, do you do this? Like, so many people have been saying, okay, Caleb Wilson, he's going to go 4. Why? When you have so many forwards, I just think you have to go guard, if not trade. So, like, yes, you could take Caleb Wilson. So let's say you take Caleb Wilson, Darius Acuff. Like, I would have taken Darius Acuff at 4. I'm super high on him. You guys know that. So we'll let all these guys go. Keaton Wagner falls all the way to 10. Maybe that's a name you watch. If he falls, maybe trade up a little bit. But here at 15 now, you can get, yeah. But again, there's so many forwards. So here's the thing. Like, Heinz Steinbeck, bro, falling, that's crazy. At this point, I think. Oh, wait, sorry. Yeah. Okay, I think AJ Devonta is going 1. I've made that clear. I know Utah. I know Utah needs guards, and we broke the Utah Jazz's situation down a lot. They're kind of in a similar boat. They got a lot of forwards. The Grizzlies, they have John Morant, and then they trade away Jaren Jackson Jr., so they kind of can go anywhere. I think Cam Boudreaux is a lock there. I think, those 3 are locks. I don't think they're even going to trade. At this point here, I'd consider calling a team that needs a forward. That would not be, I don't think that would be the Brooklyn Nets. I just don't, okay? I think it could be the Kings. I think it could be the Kings. They need a bunch of help. But let's offer a trade with the Kings. You get pick 4. You can get, they have a bunch of second round picks. We could give them a bunch of seconds. What about pick 38 here? You get pick 4 and... Wait, no. Pick 4 would be all they would need. What am I doing? Pick 4 for pick 7, and then I think, to make this simple, I don't think any players would be added, but maybe DeAndre Hunter or something. I just don't want to do that for the sake of this. I'm just going to do only picks trades. Then you give them a second round pick in 34. At pick, something like this. Something like this. Let's see what would happen. Darren Peterson goes 3. Cam Boudreaux goes 4. Yep, they take Caleb Wilson, Keaton Wagner, and Darius Acuff, or Kingston Flemings falls. And I think that's the most ideal. You get an additional second round pick in a loaded draft class. I think personally, I would take Darius Acuff. And now you kind of have the freedom. You have the freedom to really pick anybody you want here with pick 15. And Adai Mara. This dude, I feel like, I can't believe he's still on the board, but I think is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer there if he's still available at 15. So I think getting Darius Acuff and then whoever's available, it could be any position really at 15, is the best bet. So you trade down with maybe the King, maybe even it's going to be the Nets. You trade down, you get the best package you can, and you take one of these guards. Kingston Flemings, Mikael Brown, Darius Acuff, Braden Burries, Keaton Wagner. One of these guys are going to be available at 7. Maybe you could even go down to 9 if you want, or 8. You just trade anywhere between the 7 to 10 range. I think most likely it's between the 7 to 8 range, depending on where you want to be. And I think the Kings trade makes a lot of sense. I'm not totally set on them taking Caleb Wilson, but I do understand that that's most likely what's going to happen. But I just thought I'd give you my thought process through that. But we obviously do not know what's going to go on with the draft. That's just kind of what I'm assessing here. And whatever they make, it's not going to affect, I don't think. And as we continue to do this, whatever I say in the draft, whatever I do in the draft, it's not going to account for the next parts of free agency because we don't know who they're going to take. They could, right? So this is just all hypothetical suggestions, trying to work things out, giving you a preview, a kind of a look into these teams' futures to just kind of get an idea, right? None of these trades that we're going to go through either are meant to be realistic. They're just to give you an idea of the contracts that would be needed to be piled together. Also pairing up with draft picks, combining draft picks. This is what I think people would need for a trade. This is what I think they should do in these situations. So I'm just hoping and I'm making sure that that is clear. But now, here on 30 Teams in 30 Days, we break free agency down into two spots. The first half is the start of free agency, where the team's first part of free agency is where they decide who they should keep and who they will let walk. I kind of go through this list of their UFAs and RFAs and two-way contract extensions and stuff. Kind of give you an idea of like, okay, I think this person should get re-signed. I don't know if this guy should. Probably taking those 2-year options and stuff, whatever. And then the second half is the more talked about is, my top targets for the teams, whether it's by the open market or also by a trade. So let's get to the first half, the more boring side of this. Here's a list of their free agents. They have quite a few, and it's a lot of the guys that they did trade for, which again makes sense why they were able to get them. Expiring contracts. I don't know why my pen's not working. Oh dear. Let's just go back. Bam. Okay, perfect. So Anfernee Simons, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. So at $25 million was his previous AAV. By the way, their salary situation is really good. They have almost like $89 million or something in cap space, maybe even closer to over $100 billion of cap space. And by the way, you see these bird rights? These bird rights, some people are always a little confused of what those are. Well, that means the team, the Bulls, can go over the salary cap to extend those players. So this, I think, makes it pretty easy. Simons, yeah, you got to re-sign him. I think Colin Sexton is an easy re-sign. I think Zach Collins even is an easy re-sign. He's a great backup or third-string center at 29 years old. I do understand out of these three, Zach Collins, maybe if he gets a better offer and you don't want to pay him too much, it makes sense and you can let him walk. But other than that, I think you sign those three guys, to reasonable deals. For this dude right here, 31 years old, I say just ignore it. Yeah, you're going to save some money here. You don't need him. Again, there's a lot of forwards that you just don't need. You're going to already have a tough decision. Just make some easy decisions here with the 31-year-old. Nick Richards, kind of similar here. This is what I'm going to say. This is what I'm going to say to Nick Richards. I think either Zach Collins or Nick Richards, one of those guys is going to be re-signed. I don't know who it's going to be, and I think the other one will walk. They're almost identical. Literally the same age. Nick Richards is a little younger. He has less years of experience. He's cheaper. Maybe I would, lead towards Nick Richards. But again, I just don't think it matters. I think one of these guys for sure will be re-signed. I wouldn't be surprised if both get re-signed, but I'm just offering what I think initially here. Leonard Miller, not Williams. He is a club option. I think they take that. It's $2 million. Pretty chill. Same thing with Guy here. I mean, those are, again, I forgot about Guy. He's another forward that you can use, but I think they keep him, and he's just kind of a bench warmer. Maybe he gets some action if injuries happen. And then here with these this restricted free agent here, Yiki, I think they probably take him to again. And then Mac is a two-way contract. I think, again, they take that. Sorry that you can't see that. I don't know why you. There, maybe that then you can see. Can you see now? Oh my goodness, I apologize. I don't know why that's in there. I hope it goes away. I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking here in general for the Chicago Bulls. They're their own free agents. I think you can probably re-sign most of these guys. Again, you have a lot of salary cap. Like, why would you trade some players if you weren't planning on re-signing them? I think the two at the top, Sexton and Simons, very easy. But then other than that, you could go either way. I think Leonard Miller is probably a lock there, especially with that $2.4 million club option. I think that's pretty cheap for him. He's not even 23 years old. Hopefully he just gets it going there. I really want him to succeed. But now, of course, you can let me know in the comments down below who you think they should resign, who you think they should let walk. But now it's the fun part. It's the fun part. Free agency. I'm gonna predict. We're gonna be predicting who the teams will pursue, who they will sign either by the open market or by a trade. Again, this is not supposed to be realistic. It has some realism. Excuse me. My targets, real needs, but the players might not be totally realistic. But I have a strong case for most of these guys. So here's a list of some of these targets here. We're going to go through first the free agency targets. I think Norman Powell is a great addition to this team. If obviously none of that $33 million stuff that he had last year, but if you can get him for maybe half of that or a little less, maybe like 15, 16, $17 million or something like that. I believe he's like 33 years old. Just a veteran in the room because this team, as we already saw, is very young. It is very young. It needs a veteran, and Norman Powell still got it. He proved that last year. He still got a little bit of juice in him, and I think he could be just a really solid group addition to this team here for the next upcoming NBA season. Rui Hachimura has been a name that I have been throwing out for a lot of teams just because I think he's such a impactful player. He can really impact. He can be valuable to any team. And I think, sure, he's another small forward, and people might be saying, well, we have Noah Songe and Akakro, and even Modest can play a little bit of the three. So I do think that's the only reason why maybe they wouldn't choose to pursue him. But other than that, I think it could be a cool fit. For Kevin Huerter, it's just interesting because, and I don't know if Kevin Huerter would be like he's a little older. I believe he's 28 years old, a little bit of a veteran kind of. He could pair. Okay. Me personally, if they don't try to go get a point guard, I think a Josh Giddey, Kevin Huerter backcourt kind of seems nice. Okay, just saying. But I don't think it's going to be exactly Kevin Huerter. I think it's going to be a player like Kevin Huerter that is available in free agency. Mitchell Robinson could really help them, especially at their center position. Obviously, I do think their center position is not as deep as it could be. And I do think, obviously, he's in the NBA Finals now. Currently, he's in the NBA Finals. Like, he's had his moments, and obviously, I don't know if they're going to be able to afford everybody, especially if the Knicks try to go grab, I don't know, say Giannis type of player. Maybe they just choose not to re-sign Mitchell Robinson, and he could be a solid addition again to this Bulls team. And those are kind of the free agents that I'd say, yeah, maybe you could pursue it, make some sense. Here again is another look. Why did that? There we go. Okay, here's another look at all the unrestricted free agents that could sign anywhere after the season wraps up. LeBron, CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton, Porzingis, Simons, Vucevic, Harrison Barnes. There's Norman Powell. He was making $18 million. Sorry, he's 33 years old. I kind of went on a weird tangent there. So yeah, I think if you could get him somewhere like $15 million, I think that could be very solid. Colin Sexton, again, is a unrestricted free agent, meaning he could sign anywhere, but also the Bulls have the freedom to go over the salary cap to re-sign him, so that gives them a slight advantage. Nurkic, Hachimura, Huerter, Mitchell Robinson. It's kind of funny how they're all in the same area. Luke Kennard, Gabe Vincent, Quentin Grimes, all of these guys, unrestricted free agents. So it's going to be an interesting free agency when that officially starts. But as we like to do, we like to throw out some trade ideas. And you saw some other two names if you were paying attention on the YouTube slide. I'm not going to go back for you right now, but the two names were Ja Morant and Austin Reeves. And Ja Morant has been heavily hyped up. It's been reported that Memphis is not totally, okay, here, let me rephrase this. I kind of went blank. Not blank, but I just messed up what I was trying to say. There have been multiple credible reports that Memphis is willing to listen to offers for Ja Morant. Ja Morant has been really rumored to go almost anywhere. Any team that needs a point guard, Ja Morant's been, rumored to. As a Timberwolves fan, bro, I hate these rumors. I don't want Ja Morant. So that's why I also did a question mark on my top targets. But let's just see here on Fanspo. Fanspo.com is amazing. They have a great trade machine, great community. You can post things. It's a free account to make. They have great cap. It's all accurate cap stuff. So let's just look at what a trade with the Grizzlies would look like here for salaries. It wouldn't be that hard. I think Ja Morant would end up going to the Bulls. And then I think it kind of really depends on what the Grizzlies want. And I've talked about this, especially in the Grizzlies episode a couple days ago. I don't know what Ja Morant's trade value is. I think he's a very hard one to figure out. Him and Zion Williamson, I said that yesterday, two of the toughest players to figure out what the trade value is, what teams will pay for him, what the Grizzlies think they should be getting in return. But I think a solid addition here to the Grizzlies. I think there's also going to be picks involved here. I think Patrick Williams. Okay, I think Patrick Williams. I think with this salary, like it works almost perfectly. $16 million has to go back to. That's an easy contract here. We can just mess around here. Maybe Jalen Smith. Oh dear. We exited out. I don't know, bro. Yeah. What are we doing? What are we doing? Oh my gosh. Goodness gracious. All right, let's just go to Trade Machine. I don't know what's going on. All right, I don't know what's going on. Let's go back over here. Let's rethink this. All right, good. It's saved. You probably have to you could include Josh Giddey. Like that's what people have been thinking. Like a Josh Giddey, Ja Morant swap would be kind of crazy. Like that would kind of be crazy. I'm actually gonna remove Patrick Williams from this. I think what the Josh Giddey and Patrick Williams, that's too much for Ja Morant. I don't know. If you guys have an idea of what Ja Morant or what you guys think Ja Morant's trade value is, let me know in the comments down below because I really don't know. A 1-for-1 swap here wouldn't obviously work out, but you just need $9 million, and I do know there's a $9 million player, and that is going to be Jalen Smith. I think that could work. They obviously have the center, though, so maybe that wouldn't be the case. Maybe dude, this could be interesting. What if it's Isaac Okoro and Josh Giddey, and then we add maybe a first-round pick? It'd go through. Okay. Yeah, I even think that could be maybe too much. Maybe throw in like a 2031 pick, and I think that would be pretty much all it would take to get Ja Morant. Personally, I don't know if I would want to give up more. Without Josh Giddey, pairing up Josh Giddey and Ja Morant could be a fun idea. And I think Patrick Williams would then have to be in this trade. Maybe a higher pick. This would not work financially. $4 million need to go back out of Chicago. And that could be obviously anyone. Could be anybody. I don't know. I don't want to give too much value. Maybe you just move on again from Rob Dillingham. Would that be funny or what? There's a team option here. Can we take his player team option? I'm just willing. Oh, perfect. We can't accept it. Let's go. I just sometimes because I don't know if we can accept it. Whatever. Trade to Grizzlies. This would work. And that pick, yeah. I mean, I think that's solid. I think that is solid here. Obviously, I think it's gonna say. Oh, it is. All right. Patrick Williams, Isaac Okoro, Rob Dillingham in a first. Maybe that offers too steep, but again, it's pretty easy to figure out, with the cap situation. So I don't think that's a hard trade to figure out if you were the Chicago Bulls. But then the other name I mentioned that I kind of like a little bit more, and this leaves the door open to having Josh Giddey stay as the point guard with the Lakers. Okay, Austin Reeves is 28 years old. He would probably end up being that veteran. Yeah, he would be that veteran on the team. It's been clear. What I really like about this is his salary is $15 million for this season. So that makes it really good. I think Patrick Williams, or maybe that is Isaac Okoro. Is that Isaac Okoro? Or do they want a guard in return? Trey Jones. I think Isaac Akokro, and this would be almost perfect, right? Let's see. Yeah. Like, obviously, we're adding picks, but I think Austin Reeves kind of wants to be on his own team. I feel like he's just screaming Chicago Bulls. There's just something about him that I feel like Chicago Bulls is the place to be. Austin Reeves, where were you born? I'm just have I seen that you're born in Chicago? Um, Birthplace. Sorry, guys, this is weird. I'm on a tangent right now. Birthplace. He seems like a Midwestern boy. I don't know. Nope, Arkansas. Okay, never mind. Ignore what I just said. But anyway, I think Austin Reeves, no matter where he was born, is a good fit for the Chicago Bulls. Isaac Akokro, I think you could even do maybe here this Portland. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize this protection. It was protected 1 through 14. It just happened to fall to 15. And so, dude, that's unfortunate for the Trailblazers. But fortunate for the Lakers because they're going to take that 15. So the 15th overall pick and Isaac Akokro for Austin Reeves. I don't know. I think that could be something interesting. I really like Austin Reeves on the Bulls. It just seems very Bulls to do. I don't know. Let me know if you think that's a legit offer or not. Who else? I don't know who else would be a good target for them. Obviously, Giannis has been in the mix for everybody. I just don't think they have enough. Giannis going to the Bulls, it would obviously result in all these big contracts. It'd have to be all the big contracts, which Josh Giddey, yeah, that's valid. And then you probably do Patrick Williams, maybe even Isaac Akokro. Let's just see without this. Everybody's in the green, which is good. Failed and $4 million. They would just need to get rid of $4 million. Okay, yeah, we'll do Isaac Akokro because here's the thing: with Isaac Akokro, here you go, bam, boom. Okay, this trade would be fine. Your lineup would be again very big, heavy. It would be Trey Jones at the 1, probably. I don't know. You'd have to probably bring in a 2. Maybe it is AJ Green. Is there a shooting guard, Kevin Porter Jr.? What about Kevin Porter Jr. goes over there? So you do Trey Jones, Kevin Porter Jr., Modest Buzelis, Noah Assange. No, sorry, not Noah Assange. Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then Jalen Smith. Like, that is kind of interesting. Would this work financially? It would. And then obviously you'd add picks. You have a bunch of picks, a bunch of tradable picks for that the Cleveland. So I think again it would be that 15th pick. So they would get the 15th pick. That's pretty chill. Maybe I don't think it's the 4th overall pick. And then 2029 we can do. Okay, I just want to make sure here. Is there another pick that 2031? So like 2 firsts, 3 firsts. Like maybe that's too much. I don't know. It is Giannis. So like the Bulls could do it. They could enter the Giannis sweepstakes if they really want to, but again, I don't think Giannis wants to go there. So again, there's a lot of options. There are a lot of options for the Chicago Bulls, but it's going to be really interesting. I think they're, again, a very fascinating team. If you're a Bulls fan, let me know what you thought about what I said. If you agree or disagree, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. But before we go, one last thing. Current ceiling and floor. I really should just change it to ceiling and floor. Whatever. Basically, what it's going to be, if you haven't seen any of these episodes before, there's going to be 2 lines. I think it's 2 bullet points, possibly. It's going to say with the moves I suggested or without the moves I suggested, and it's going to give a ceiling, and I'll explain. So here, without the moves I suggested, I think this team, if they keep their team relatively the same, I think they're probably a play-in team. Maybe they get to the first round. But with the moves I suggested, if they go out and get a guy like Austin Reeves or Ja Morant, I do think this team has the potential to not only get to the playoffs, but maybe even advance to the second round, where I think they would probably lose. They'd probably get beaten. But hey, the Eastern Conference, pretty favorable this year. Again, it's not as hard. It's not as challenging as the Western Conference. So anything could happen. I think the Bulls were close. They just kind of gave up at the end. But yeah, this was a very fun episode. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Turn the notification bell button on so you never miss any episodes. And we'll go back to 2 episodes a week in July. We post daily shorts. We post other content here on the channel. Go ahead and check that out if you're interested. New team coming up tomorrow. I believe it will be the Milwaukee Bucks. So all the Giannis conversations will begin then. That's going to be fun. I think we'll probably spend a solid 20 minutes or more talking about on all the potential Giannis trade packages. So if you're interested in that, come back tomorrow, same time, same place. Appreciate you guys for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell button on so you never miss any episodes. And most importantly, because of course this is the most important thing, don't forget to keep God first because he's the most important thing in your lives. And I'll see you guys all in the next one. Have a great day.